didn't walk in the door. Well, if you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to walk your dog. Yeah, boy, come on, get over here. Yeah. You know what? I have my mom 15 cents. Jim wants an elephant going jump the fence. Jump so high, it touches the sky. He come back till the 4th of July. Walk in the door. Didn't walk in the door. Well, if you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to walk the dog. Come on, get over here. Yeah, listen to my little poem now. Mary, Mary, quite contrary. How does that garden grow? Let's see how you got silver bells, you got cockle shells. Babies all in a row, walk in the door. Didn't walk in the door. Well, if you don't know how to do it, I'm gonna show you how to walk the dog. Lord, get over here, boys. Get away from that tree. Come on. Just a walk. Just a walk. Just a walk. I snapped in. What? Well, if you don't know how to do it, I'll show you how to walk your dog. Get that tree down. Go ahead. Come on. Let me play one. I'm gonna buy me a new dog. How much?
September 12th, 2003. Didn't make the morning papers, he died in his sleep. In a world of loneliness, corruption and need, hatred of hatred, politics and greed. But I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. Yes, I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. An honest man, one who cared, a heart that big, well, that's something rare. In a world of broken promises and lies, it's comforting to know a man could walk the line. And I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. Yes, I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. Of the working man of every tortured soul that does the best they can. If you're broken down and the world is on your back, have faith in the star above that's wearing black. And I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. And I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash died. Yes, I know I wasn't alone when I cried on the day Johnny Cash
How's everybody doing today? Happy November 11th. Hope everybody took some time at 11 o'clock this morning, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. We hope you took some time to remember those who are no longer with us. It's that one day out of the year that should be every day out of the year. That's why there it is. This poppy pin, it's actually a metal pin given to me by a friend of mine. I wear a poppy all year long because lest we forget is more than just one day. Hope everyone had a good one. Welcome to Canadian Patriot Report. I'm waiting on Mike Traherne's going to be joining us. And I'm just going to flip over. We've got this going out, by the way, live from Facebook back out to YouTube. So you folks here with me on Facebook, you're being rebroadcast out over YouTube. Hi, Pat. How you doing, buddy? For those of you on YouTube, you want to watch this show or be part of this show, you can post here in the YouTube chat room, and it will come up on screen. I'm just about to flip that over and bring the YouTube chat room live on the YouTube transmission. So your chats will come up live in YouTube. And folks, anybody posting here in the BeLive site or on the Facebook chat, that also comes up in the YouTube channel. Mike Traherne and Barry Prince are going to be joining me in a little bit. Barry messaged and said he had a few family members pockedly. I'm just flipping over here to have a look at the CPR room. Hi, Pat. How are you? So tonight, once Pat and once Barry and Mike get in here, I personally wanted to talk about where we as patriots need to look in the future, where we need to envision ourselves and our country going and being in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years, just as if we were putting together a business, okay? If you were putting together a business plan and your business was the recreation of Canada, where do we need to be in 5 years? What levels of things do we need to address within 10 years of creating this new country, this new company? And what things do we have to have done in no longer than 20 years? And a good place to start is with what we've got here in front of us. Pat, I'm kind of glad you're here watching this broadcast because you're an excellent example of the kind of people who can help us, help patriots, us, okay? You can help us pick and choose. All right, Barry. Yeah, dude, that's good, buddy. Family comes first. Don't worry about it. Barry's got to go out and take care of a couple of things. Well, family comes first. Now, let's flip this around. It keeps falling down the back of my neck when I wear it with my hat on. And for some reason, it looks like my YouTube chat has frozen. Or rather, my YouTube Facebook feed. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. Well, now it doesn't want to pick up. Oh, I'm going to lose my ever-loving mind. Now OBS on my other computer is being a pain in the neck. It doesn't want to read. It doesn't want to pick up. Ah, there we go. Are we back in live with live video? Let's see if it'll show there's a few seconds delay between Facebook and YouTube. Let me just see here if this is live back again on, yep, there's my hand. Okay, so YouTube's back to being live. I don't know why, but things froze there for a few minutes. Sorry for the interruption here, folks, on Facebook. As I was saying, Barry, he's going to dip out for a few minutes, got to take care of a couple of things, and I am the first one to tell you. I am the first one to tell you that family comes first, okay? There's no second guessing that. Family comes first. And thankfully, this guy's not part of my family, so Ed, you're number one with me, buddy. How you been, bud? You gonna turn your cam on and come join us? Only 7 weeks till Christmas. Yeah, that gives me 7 weeks of being a grumpy old Grinch. I hate Christmas. It's so friggin' commercialized.
You're not doing it right if you don't spend this much money and shop at these exclusive stores.
Kiss my fat, white, Royal Canadian ass. Oh. Hey, Gary, how you doing, buddy? Well, I'm ironically enough, now that you just happened to pop in, anybody watching tonight or watching this video later on, look up Gary Gilbert on Facebook, send him a friend request, then go look for Synthesis Canada on Facebook, and in your browser, type in synthesiscanada.com. December 1st, a brand new social media site is opening up for Canadians only. You got to have a Canadian postal code to belong to this website. Not a group on Facebook, a website, a .com social network website. I'm one of the original, so is Barry Prince. Sorry, I'm reading notes here. I'm reading the comments and trying to talk at the same time. Barry Prince is also one of the original members. Gary will tell you that they've got 50 people, myself and Barry Prince included, to act as sort of guinea pigs. And the month of December, we're going to be doing a whole bunch of test runs with this new synthesiscanada.com website. I've been to it. I've posted a video there already. It's not open to the public, so you folks can't go and see what I've posted. It will be open to you, the public, to view only in December. It looks just like Facebook. One side of your screen has a list of your groups and your friends and that sort of thing. Down the middle is your timeline, and down the other side of the screen are features of the site, different groups and mail service and advertising, and that's just looks just like Facebook. I was really impressed. It looks more like Facebook than MeWe, and it is completely uncensored. Sneak peekers, Gary's calling us. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Not Synthesis Canada, it's synthesissocial.com. I have it up here on my, well, my bookmarks list is actually huge. I have to click and scroll. Here's the troublemaker himself coming in now.
How do you figure I'm a troublemaker?
I know you're a troublemaker.
What? I was shaking Antifa's hand yesterday. Come on.
What's that?
I was shaking one of the Antifa's hands yesterday. Some guy named Woody wanted to do a little interview.
Okay. I just want to ask people out here in the chat rooms if you're getting any echo, because I'm listening to Ed through speakers. My headphones are on for the YouTube. My camera microphone is right next to my speakers. And when he's talking, if you guys are getting an echo out there, let me know, and I'll switch over to the headset microphone. If I can, well, actually, I'll switch over to the headset earphones instead of my speakers.
Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Ed can't count too high. There. I switched to my headphones anyhow, so that'll eliminate any echo. So what's happening, Edward?
Well, I'm a little confused about this social network you're trying to promote. It looks pretty good, but to me it seems like it's right inside of Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. Because you can have groups inside of Facebook, and usually if you're careful with who comes into those groups,
okay,
Facebook won't look at it. I believe, but I
are
could be
you
mistaken.
now? Hang on. You went to the Facebook page, Synthesis Canada,
Yeah.
or did you go? Pardon me?
Yeah, through Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the same. That is nothing more than a Facebook group. Okay, that is not the same web page. That is what you're looking at. There is Synthesis Canada page on Facebook.com. I'm telling you, go to synthesissocial.com, not Facebook. Where is, I'm just looking here. Where is, there. There's, if anybody can see that, everybody should in a minute or two. Synthesis Social, synthesissocial.com. Now, you won't be able to see much because the site isn't even open yet until December 1st. When it is, I will be posting links to it all over the place. Believe me, okay? But what you're seeing on Facebook, Ed, is just that, a Facebook group. It's not the actual synthesissocial.com website.
Okay. Another one I came across about, they started about 9 months ago, 10 months ago, was Infinity SN. It's got a similar feel to Facebook, and apparently they're not going to be doing any censoring either. question is, who's, as we learned from, what's the other website that went down last week there? Just before
Gab.
Which one?
Gab.
Gab, yeah. Which is hosted by GoDaddy. That's why that one was taken down. Who's hosting these networks? We got to find out.
Well, you can contact right here if you'd like. I'll pop on. Gary, by all means, turn your cam on. I'll tell you what. I will even. We're way down here. I should be able to. No. Oh, yes. Ta-da.
Gotta warn them not to do step 2. Accept the permissions. Do not do step 2 on the Be Live first time. Come back out. Go back to your, where are we on? Canadian Patriot Report tonight? And then click the link again to get in. Otherwise, you're going to go to some wild website.
There's the link right there. But Gary, if you go to the CPR Canadian Patriot Report web page, or not web page, but Facebook page rather. I'm getting myself all confused between Facebook and .com pages. I just again posted the guest link. It's a Be Live TV guest link on the CPR Canadian Patriot page on Facebook. In the Facebook search window at the top of the screen on Facebook, just type in Canada Needs CPR or at Canada Needs CPR, and it should take you to the CPR Canadian Patriot Report page, group page, and right on that main page, if you scroll down a little bit, you'll find the link. Actually, it's right there at the top of the page. It's one of the very first posts, and it says, join this broadcast with your webcam or smartphone. And that will bring you right in, just like Ed did.
Yeah, but the first time you go in, remember, you got to download the app, allow the permissions, get out of Be Live, come back to the page.
That's only if he's using a phone. If he's using a computer, all he needs to make sure he's got is Chrome. Use Chrome as your browser on your computer and you're fine. All that other crap that you went through, Ed, was when you were using your phone. On a computer, you don't have to do any of that. There's no apps to download, nothing.
Well,
you just use Chrome.
As you can see, I changed my hard drive today. Again. This one was full.
Well, I just upgraded. I put a whole terabyte HDD drive as storage in one computer and a half terabyte HDD drive in the SSD computer that you just gave me. And I'm using the HDDs as storage for all my videos and pics and everything, because if an SSD dies, that's it. You can't get anything off of it. That data is gone. At least on an HDD, you have 3 or 4 different options to hopefully recover some of your data.
Well, solid state drives are supposed to be rock solid for 5 years of normal usage.
Mm-hmm.
Or so they say, right? But anyways, with solid state drives, if people don't realize this, make sure you do a second partition and make sure that it's at least 20% empty. No, I'm serious, because if you go more than that, you kill the life of you can extend these things to go 15 years if you leave 20% empty.
Okay. Gary says he's not seeing it. I don't know what to tell you, Gary. It's right there. I just posted it. If you go to the CPR Canadian Patriot Report group page
in Facebook.
Yeah, and it's right there. It's got one of my pictures on it. You can only see part of the picture. But right under the picture, there's big black letters says, join this broadcast with your webcam or smartphone. In fact, oh no, that's not it. Here, I'll show you exactly what it looks like on this. There's the CPR page. Roll down, and right there, that's the link to bring your cam into the show right on the CPR page.
And that's how I got in.
Yep. I can't tag you in it. He says tag him in it. I don't know how I can.
Share that to his profile.
Well, okay, I can probably
like, comment, share. Hit the share and see if you can private message him, or put it on his page. Maybe if you private message him, it might not come through.
Hang on, let me see what I can do here. Share in a friend's timeline. Wow, I got a lot of people on my list named Gary. And he's not coming up. Well, that's weird. I added him to my friends list. Huh. Well, Gary, I'm sorry. I can't seem to share this to you.
Is this page wide open or is it closed?
Send in a private message. Gary Gilbert. Okay, I think I found him. Hang on. Gary, check your private messages. I think I just sent you the link in a private message, buddy. I'm not sure where Mike Traherne is. He was going to join us tonight.
Back in a second.
Okay. Gary says he found it and it's loading. I'm just waiting for him to pop into the lobby here, and I'll bring him on into the show. So, folks, I hope everyone's ready for all kinds of fun and games. With what's going on in the States, it's bound to have a trickle north effect. When this migrant caravan, more correctly called an invading army, gets through Mexico and hits the U.S. border, every single left-wing nut job in the United States from Antifa all the way down to your crazy university nutcase purple-haired freaks are going to be running their imaginary gender asses all over the country, being total idiots, doing what they did to Kavanaugh's house, attacking people like Tucker Carlson. You're going to see it all over the place. Ed, the Antifa that you've seen in Toronto at rallies, their counterparts in the U.S. are going to start going stupid. And it's going to, the Antifa you've seen at rallies in Toronto, instead of standing on the other side of the street, are going to send guys around to sneak up behind you. Like, things are going to get worse.
I don't think the people that are coming up in the caravan are going to be joining Antifa. What they're going to be doing is petty crime.
I didn't say they'd
drug dealing.
I said that that is going to be a trigger for all kinds of other events. Mostly the kind of shit we see with Antifa. You're going to see more of these fake pipe bombs. You're going to see more school shootings. And keep in mind, this is like a movie script or a play that's being perpetrated and played out against us, not for our entertainment, but against us.
Well, we'll see how many come up. A lot of them do want to come up to Canada. I've seen that on videos. Hey, we got someone joining us.
Good evening. Shitty, but thanks for asking. How's about you?
I'm doing just dandy.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. And how
for an
your...
old fat guy with an orange shirt.
Duke, no, introduce our new guest.
Well, everybody, this is Gary Gilbert, one of the founders of synthesissocial.com. Say hi,
yeah.
Gary.
Hello, hi. Yeah, Synthesis Social is actually, there's two parts to it. There's Synthesis Canada, which is the original concept. Synthesis Social is the kind of like, think of Synthesis Canada as your front room. It's where you meet everybody, you engage in conversation, you be social, you be, hello. Then that's on the Facebook presence. Synthesis Social, however, is in response to the censorship going on places like YouTube, Facebook, and so many other platforms. And that's the kitchen. That's the meat and potatoes. That's where you sit down and you get down at the table, get your coffee out, and start figuring shit out. So that's the secondary part. Now, your guest here, your other fella, what was your name again?
Ed? Yeah, Ed Jamnisek.
Rhymes with Smith.
You're going to have to try that again. Ed Jam in the Sack.
Nice.
Close enough.
Actually, Antifa that I spoke to yesterday pronounced my name perfectly. It's like he knows me.
How do you spell it?
I was just going to say that's because they've been following you for months, dude. You're associated with that bearded bald bastard from Niagara.
Come on, they like Santa Claus.
How do you spell that, Ed? Just so I can be sure that I'm pronouncing it properly instead of trying to, hatchet job it.
No, you did a perfect, great, awesome job. Jam in the sack.
It's not jam in the sack, is it?
Jam in the sack. Yeah, it's perfect.
Awesome.
J-A-M.
Jam.
Yeah. Spell it out for him, Ed.
Jamnisek.
I-S. E-K. Jamison.
Jamnisek.
Jamnisek.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that Ukrainian?
Slovenian.
Okay, so Eastern Balkans. That's cool. Yeah.
Just east of Italy, just south of Austria.
Awesome. I've never actually been to Slovenia, so it's definitely on my go-to list. Actually,
I've flown through Slovenia. It takes 2 hours in a small plane.
Nice.
Size of Toronto to Ottawa.
I think I'd rather go there than Ottawa. Well, mind you. So yeah, that's kind of how you would look at Synth Social, and the idea is that there was a lot of painstaking efforts to make it look and feel like Facebook for a reason. That seems to be the go-to platform. It has been for the last 11 years. Really 8 if you really want to get down to the brass tacks, but that's what people are familiar with.
Yeah.
Even the most technologically illiterate can surf around Facebook with ease. Okay. And that breeds familiarity, that breeds action. People would use it because of that alone. The fact that we will never censor opinions is a huge thing as well. Now there's obviously a caveat to that. Okay. But it's common sense caveat. And that caveat is this: criminality will absolutely not be tolerated. There'll be zero tolerance for that. So if you think that you're going to go on and start slinging dope or, selling guns or engaging in child trafficking or some horse shit like that, it's probably not going to go over too well. But the good thing is the average Canadian isn't into that anyways. That's not acceptable in society. It's not Canadian values. And this is very much a pro-Canadian site. So and it's not just a pro-Canadian site, as it was pointed out, it's an only Canadian site.
If I can ask a few questions,
Absolutely.
who or where are you guys going to have your servers? Is it plugging in full? Are you guys going with GoDaddy or?
Absolutely not. That is the problem with current platforms like MeWe, Infinity, Gab, and things like that. First of all, they cater to the global market. That's one thing. We cater to a Canadian market because we're Canadians. Number two, they go with commercial servers. Okay, companies that make a business of selling server space and rely on advertising to help cover their costs. It's in that advertising that the pressure comes for censorship. See, a lot of people, as I was explaining to the Duke here a little while ago today, they think that somehow Zuckerberg happens to be liberal. He's absolutely not. He's absolutely not a leftist. In fact, he is a capitalist to the extreme. You see, he makes money by Facebook, makes its money, and it's not just money, but fucking billions from advertisers. So when you got an advertiser who's giving $100 million at advertising monies and says, well, I don't like that Duke guy. I don't like his message. If you don't stop him from doing that, we're going to withdraw our account and go find somebody else to advertise, give that 100 million somewhere else. So Zuckerberg and his team says, well, shit, a new Mercedes or Duke, and they're like, well, who the hell is Duke? So in the end, it's about money. And that's where the censorship comes in. And it's the same with any company that works on that same premise. Now, to answer your question specific, the servers, when we recognize that as an issue, the potential influence of protesters against a company that provides that service, we knew that would always be a problem. It wouldn't matter where your servers are. It could be in Canada, it could be in the States, it could be Timbuktu. It doesn't matter if they're companies that cater to the public. These servers that we're on are actually owned by some very private fellows, very pro-conservative fellows, and they're not in Canada. So the likelihood of some kind of protest movement like Antifa getting to them, even if they managed to find out where they were, would have very little effect because these people don't sell their server space. They're providing it to me because of a relationship we have.
Nice. And are you going to need a revenue to sustain yourselves somehow, or?
Well, that is a good question, and it's a very important part of any kind of,
Hey, Ru.
Hello, Dan.
Sorry to interrupt there for a second, Gary.
No worries.
I just want to welcome in Dan Dubois from Canadian Combat Coalition, C3. I was watching your video earlier tonight with Win Nay, Dan.
Yeah,
welcome to the show, brother.
Yeah, I saw your invites. I thought I'd come and see what was going on. Very interesting what this gentleman was saying about Facebook, and it totally makes sense that, yeah, it's all about
money and endorsements, and why people are being quelled and taken off of Facebook. Because
Well,
I believe that, that an
it's
endorsement.
ironic that it's
You
ironic
have to
that he
remember that
mentions this because today a very prominent YouTuber got booted off of YouTube. Praying Medic, a fellow whose videos I share on Facebook and on my YouTube channels all the time, he just got booted out of YouTube. Now, luckily, he's got sponsors and donations that he can afford. He's opened his own prayingmedic.com on a pod site, a pod blog site. But yeah, he got booted out of YouTube today. Sorry to interrupt there, Gary. Go ahead, buddy. It's just another example of the censorship.
Yeah.
Well, again, it's not about censorship in itself. You got to remember, a lot of people, especially on social media, specifically Facebook, they barely have a grasp of the concepts of the root core issues. They regurgitate a lot of somebody else's thought train. You know, you see a meme that's been passed around 8,000 times. Well, you didn't create that fucking meme. You're not doing anything more than regurgitating it. That's the whole premise of social media. It's spread by regurgitation. When it comes to the whole censorship topic, we see it as censorship. I get locked into Facebook jail. I get my account suspended. I get posts deleted, or they use the algorithms to only allow certain things to be seen. It's not because anybody at Facebook or places like that actually give a shit what I have to say. I'm just me. I'm not dangerous enough that what I say actually changes the world. Okay. It's all about advertising. It's all about endorsements, as Dan said. And you got to remember that with politics in the West today, not just Canada, not just the States, but right across the West, it's been influenced by corporations and lobbyists and money. And that's what drives the world. That's why the system is broken. That's why they designed the system to be broken. You can't, there's no money in having things run right. So if they fix the system in Canada, well, there's no more tax money to suck up. You know what I mean? This cuts right across the board. So there is a blurred line between politics and business. It's the same shit. And this is why we have a lot of the other issues that we're dealing with in politics today, whether it be in the Conservative Party or whatever. That's another topic. However, that's what it comes down to when it comes to censorship. The way to defeat that is to not try to play ball in their fucking field. Part of that is removing access to a server and making it a private server. They're all over the place. People have servers on their own. We just happen to come across somebody that was in another group that I have for a different topic, who happens to be, so you know, they're uber geeks. They love their technology. They love their whole coding and all this wonderful stuff, and they have a very powerful system that, you know, would rival most companies today. They have their own trunk lines. They have absolutely no requirements to justify or satisfy anybody else's opinion, and they're hardcore conservative. They absolutely despise censorship, and they're very very adamant about their stances. They happen to believe in this direction that I'm taking. They've been supporters of other ideas that I've been doing for a long time as well. So the security that evolves around the platform itself and the servers that they're on is bulletproof and ironclad as you can get. So that's number one. Number two, we reduce the exposure, okay, to limit it to Canada. This is a Canadian direction for Canadian people. So you don't have a lot of the exposure to some of these groups that originate from outside of the country, which isn't 100% foolproof, but it damn well helps carry it along. Goes a long way. Now, you were asking about monetization. How do you support such a thing? Unlimited bandwidth, if you were to go and get a trunk line and get unlimited bandwidth, if you can find a company that actually provides it, if you don't lay your fiber optic cables yourself, you're looking at about $6 or $7 grand for massive bandwidth like that. And that's just not doable for the average Joe. So it does have costs. Server space, you know, bandwidth, all these things add up when you're trying to do a website. And what we're going to do,
Gary, is that $6 or $7 grand per month?
US dollars per month is probably where you're going to get it from. You're not going to find
Wow.
a company in Canada that isn't already going to the States to get theirs. So, well, that's bottom end, mind you. And again, that's in US dollars. So you can tack on another 35% plus taxes and everything else. You know, it's expensive to put together a package like this. This is why a lot of people just can't do it or don't do it. Now, to monetize it, to make it self-sustainable, it's going to have to be like a lot of other applications that we already currently use. In the last decade, we've seen the rise of subscription-based lifestyles. You get a cable TV package. You want to watch that special boxing match, click per view, pay-per-click, pay-per-view, whatever term you want to put to it. You get a cell phone today, whether it be an Apple or whether it be an Android. Everything is subscription-based. You buy a subscription to this, to your software protection, to your apps, or you buy an app outright. You go to a gym. It's fucking membership-based. Everything we do today is subscription-based. We're going to introduce the same thing. We're going to have a free membership available for everybody. You can come in, you can check it out, you can post a comment just like you would on Facebook. But say you're the content creator. Say you're like Duke and you want to run a live stream. That chews up a lot of bandwidth. And a lot of guys go to YouTube and they monetize their channels so they can hopefully get enough views and sustain themselves to pay for their efforts and to pay for their content. So we're introducing a package like that where the content creator can do the same thing just like on YouTube, because that's a segment built right into the website. So picture Facebook with a built-in YouTube, and that's getting closer to what we're doing. So that means a lot extra hosting, extra space, and a lot more bandwidth. That also includes live streams, but also podcasts. So just audio-based transmissions.
Like Tom Quiggin's audio that he does,
That's right.
He puts it out on Twitter.
Yes, exactly. We actually have our own Twitter built. It's exactly like Twitter as part of the site, built in. See, this isn't just a website, and it's not just a Facebook. It looks like Facebook. It acts like Facebook, and it feels like Facebook. It's laid out the same way. In fact, the major difference is that blue bar at the top in Facebook is blue, and we made ours red. Our landing page for sign up, instead of having a global map, we have a Canadian map. That's really the only difference as far as the look and feel goes. But what we've done was we've taken all these apps that people use, all these sites that people use, and brought them together. That's what makes it unique and not done before. Till now, you'd have to sign onto your social media platform like Facebook, open an account in Gmail to get your YouTube account, open your channel on YouTube, get your Twitter account, get your, what's the other one similar to Twitter? Instagram, that's it. And you've got to manage all these sites independently. There's a few apps that are out there that try to combine them a little bit, allow you to share across the spectrum, but you still need to physically manage those different sites. We brought them all together, all from one spot. And it does all those same features.
Gary, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my cam out of here, and I am going to put in a screenshot of your page.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you folks can hear me or not, but as long as this picture's up here, go ahead and talk about Synthesis Social or Synthesis Canada, which is, I believe, what the site is that I'm going to post up here.
You're going to post the actual physical website. That's Synthesis Social. So yeah, it'll be monetized by the membership base. It'll be monetized by the content creators. And then, of course, we'll have other things, too, that we do to try to, raise funds as well. Because these guys, although they're associates of mine, they're putting in a lot of time and a lot of money of their own to help make it happen. And, they're not going to do that endlessly forever,
Okay, if I can make a request, will we be
Sure.
able to, can you guys not make a subscription based for at least a year? Let's get the numbers up first. Let's invite everyone. Get them used. There will
always be a free member. See, I'm a believer in freedom. I believe in having the right to choose. And if you don't have choices, then you're restricted on your actions. There will always be a free subscription. always. That will never change.
Now,
And the success of the site will come back to the participation of the member base.
and
Okay.
how about target marketing? Like if someone lives, say, in the Markham area where I am, can I
Mhm.
pay to broadcast a clip to them? Say I'm running for office. Or
Absolutely, 100%. You could run your whole campaign from there. We have software built in for that purpose. The larger goal is what Synthesis Canada is about. And we can get to that after, since we're talking tonight about specifically the site itself. But that is one of the options available.
Okay, cool. So you guys sound like you're really on the ball. It's nice to hear.
Well, we did an analysis of all the sites that were out there, including Facebook. We looked at some of the trending changes that are happening, some of the direction that some other social sites and software developers are making, and we came to the conclusion that the best direction to go would be to have a multi-user site based off of choice. And the biggest thing to do is you have to make a decision. Number one, you either have to have censorship or no censorship. The only reason to justify censorship is for marketing and advertising basis, because you have to cater to everybody. Now, you can still cater to everybody, except not take that advertising direction. Since I'm not a believer in selling personal information. In fact, the way we've got it set up is that, and anybody that's a techie will know that you want to erase some data from a hard drive, no matter whether it's a hard drive or an SSD or a thumb drive or whatever, you can't just erase it. That's not enough. You actually need to rewrite over it repeatedly to get rid of that initial data. And that's what we do with any personal data that gets collected over the time of the membership. So, for instance, when you make a post this morning, it'll only be on the server for so long before it's deleted and rewrote over top of. There's no data to sell. So there's nothing marketable for the companies to actually want, because they want that metadata. They want that information to find out your spending habits, your political leanings, your spiritual and religious beliefs, your sexual orientation. That's what they want, because that's what target you with their advertising. That's why when you go onto Google and you type in new car or new hard drive, SSDs, next thing you know on Facebook, there's all this fucking stuff going towards SSDs. You know, it's target marketing. You either buy into that and make your money that way.
It's George Orwell. That's what it is.
It's inevitable is what it is. It's whether or not you want to contribute to it. And our initial direction was that somebody needs to take a stand against it on some level or another. And if it's not going to be us, then who? We've been doing this shit for a long time. Dan's been doing this shit for a long time. You know, Ed, I just met you. I don't actually recognize your name, and I've never heard anything that you've done, so I don't know where you stand. I know Duke's been doing this for a while. But nothing's changing, is it?
Yeah, my biography is on the Anti-Racist Canada website.
You're slamming your head in a door, because we're heading in the wrong direction, and we're buying into that division ourselves. Right now, the current flavor is Scheer versus fucking Bernier. You know, when you play the game in a broken system with their fucking rules, you're not going to win. Period. That's the definition of insanity. And if people can't get by that, then they can't question why it's happening. Motherfucker, you are the problem. You want to know who to blame? It's not Trudeau. It's not Islam in Canada. These are the systemic outcomes of the problem. These are what happen when we don't pay attention, when we don't participate. So if we really want to look at what the problem is, we got to look in the mirror. So if we want to change shit, we got to attack the core root issues and stop blaming the distractions.
Talking about the quote, what is the name of Elizabeth?
Sorry?
What is Queen Elizabeth's real name? I'll give you a hint. One of the words is Gotha.
Dirty whore. That's what I'd say. That's just my personal opinion.
It's not the Duchess of Windsor either.
Well, I know that there was a lot of inbreeding going on within that bloodline, and they're all related. You know, that much is common knowledge. I don't put a lot of stock into the royal family. I don't put a lot of stock into much of that direction in life. I do recognize that little has changed, and it's still the same folks doing the same shit. And I do realize that Canada is not a free country independent of the Queen. This is why when you get into office, the first thing you do is give an oath to the Queen.
Yeah,
Okay?
we're still serfs. We still ruled
Absolutely.
under admiralty.
But we don't have to be. See, they could never pull it off if Canadians actually understood the simple basics of the root core. That's the problem. And we get all these people that we see daily on these groups that think they're awoke. They think they know what's going on, but yet they still repeat the same shit over and over that got us here. And until that changes, nothing else is.
Yeah, this is a saying, you don't know what you don't know.
There's you can take that to the fucking bank.
Yeah.
You know. And what I see happening, especially within a lot of these communities, Dan just went through it just a little while ago.
Oh,
we
lost Gary.
I still see him.
I still see me.
I still hear him.
You won't
Do you
for
still
long.
hear me?
I still see you.
Oops.
I'm still waiting for the second Duke to show up.
Dan Dubois' Duke. Where is your Duke?
Yeah.
Dan just went through.
Right beside me.
Dan just went.
I just flipped the cams around, and if you watch, you'll see that well, he's still on Facebook. I'm not seeing him here on my screen for some reason.
I see Gary. Yeah. I
see Gary, anyways, we're talking about you don't know what you don't know, and where we're going with this, and the danger of.
A large part of why we're stuck in this cycle right now, especially in the conservative movements.
The danger of people, what, Ed?
Gary's talking about why we're stuck in this cycle. I think he's going to get to that. We're talking in circles.
Well, I hope everybody else can hear him because I can't.
He's there.
Yeah, I can hear him.
There's all too often, and we've seen it within the groups that you guys run within your membership, the groups that I run within membership. There's the idea that
no idea what the man is saying. I can't hear a thing.
The old saying of too many chiefs and not enough Indians. You know, everybody's trying to be that guy. There's too many personalities. And this is something that's actually pervasive within Canadian politics. We vote for personality. We don't vote for policy. This is how we got a fucking Trudeau in there again in the first place, you know, because we vote for personality. And with these groups, you see so many people, they're like, well, we need a white knight. We need a hero. We need somebody to change things. No, motherfucker. You need to be a hero. You need to be that white knight and step the fuck up. You need to be that change you want to see. You need to be the example of the change you want to see. And these groups, so many groups, how many C3 derivatives have there been? You just went through this with the whole upsetting, you know, change of ownership, management, whatever, infighting, this and that. And it's happened to so many groups because of personality conflicts, because somebody wants to be the guy. And they overlook the fact, motherfucker, this isn't about you. It's about Canada.
Right.
If you can't put Canada first, then you have absolutely little to contribute. And I'm a huge believer that if you truly have the courage of your conviction, you do it by example. Like right down the line.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's well said. And it's, you know what, you're absolutely right. That's why we do what we do. We try to lead by example. We conduct ourselves with a strong moral compass, and we try to share awareness far and wide. And we try to help our fellow Canadians, whether it be big or small. But we try to do something good. If it's not daily, it's weekly, it's monthly. We're watching our Alberta chapter grow by leaps and bounds, you know.
Let me ask you a question, though. How many times in your own group have you watched self-proclaimed patriots and self-proclaimed conservatives, the minute somebody disagrees with their perspective, turn on each other and act completely 100% liberal?
That's a way of life. That's human nature. That, you know, there's always going to be bad apples.
Because it's become a clique-based mentality. You know, I like Ed, so I'm gonna hang with him, and Dang and Duke can fuck off. They're just bullshit. I'm all about Ed. you know, so I'll support Ed. I don't even know Ed, but you know what? I like him and he's got some awesome glasses, so fuck everybody else.
Yeah,
That's the mentality taught in society today. And it's pervasive on social media because there's no accountability, which is actually getting towards the root core of the issue. There's no accountability in society. There's no accountability in politics. There's no equality that everybody keeps talking about, because equality only goes as far as your group that you like, your personality that you support.
If I can interrupt, one thing that strikes me with Bernier is he keeps using the word responsible.
I'm not sure if you want to hear my thoughts on that topic.
Yeah, let's have it. It's politically speaking tonight.
yeah.
Bernier is the only career politician right now doing the right thing. He started a new party and he's challenging the status quo. Now, on the upside, that is the upside. On the downside, it's Bernier. Bernier, he's a traitor to the NDP. He left them. He's a traitor to the Liberals. He left them. He's a traitor to the PC. He left them. He's burned his bridges politically. He's got no strength. So even if he magically pulls off a win and becomes prime minister, he's got absolutely no support from any of the existing, you know what I mean? And on social media, he's done. You've got half the conservatives kind of arguing amongst themselves about Scheer versus Bernier. The thing with Bernier is, as much as I love the policies that he's trying to implement, because they're absolutely bang on, it's Bernier. And when we're in a personality-based politics, it doesn't matter the message. You look at Trudeau. He's got absolute shit message, and he's still in power because of personality. That's the problem with Canadian politics right now. So with Bernier, he's building a party around himself, around his stance, around his outspoken views, trying to kind of lean from that whole Trump thing and the successes he had. But he's on his last legs. The motherfucker's on his way out of politics. He's got nowhere to go. He's done. So when he goes, what happens to the party? There's no juice behind it, because he's not implementing people on the platform. He's implementing himself as the platform. So do I think that Bernier has a shot? I absolutely reserve my right to just shut the fuck up on that. I think that he will give Scheer a good go, but I have no idea who's going to pull it off, because in the end, people try to say, well, Bernier's the split vote. They say, oh, well, he's paid by Soros and he's paid by Trudeau. Well, that's some horseshit. Come on, people, get a grip. He's not a fucking plant by Trudeau paid off by Soros. He's just a fucking guy who's trying to make his last stand like Custer. Okay? And if people try to sell the idea that Bernier is a split vote, it just kind of reinforces the fact that they have absolutely no idea about the political process. Because ultimately, in the end, you, Dan, you, Ed, Duke, and myself, and every other Canadian is the split vote. We either vote for Scheer. We either vote for
the slide vote. I'm thinking it's more of a slide vote than a split vote.
We are the voters. We are always voters. And as voters, we decide what splits or what doesn't, or what slides or what doesn't. Mm-hmm. We have to start taking responsibility on an honest platform. And in the end, if all the conservatives went and voted for Bernier, Bernier would win. If we split our vote and half go to Bernier and half go to Scheer, we split the vote. That's just reality.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's logical. That's the logic behind it for sure. Yeah, I hear you. But that's why I'm thinking it's not so much. I'm thinking Bernier's going to be getting a slide vote. These are people that are conservatives that are going to support Bernier because they're losing confidence in the PC.
When you have a leader like Scheer, who really is not much different from Trudeau.
That's right.
Not in the end. The PC party, the Liberal Party, and the NDP, all three have very little variances between them. and they
Yeah.
all support the direction of a global community.
That's right.
But these are career politicians, remember. So they don't give a fuck what they sell. They don't give a fuck who they sell it to or who they lie to, because they are never held accountable. And if they're never held accountable, they're completely padded for the rest of their days, what incentive do they have to actually be for Canada?
I'm going to punch him out.
Well,
If I'm in Parliament, that's what they got
Let me
to
tell you
worry
something.
about.
Let me tell you something. There used to be a day in Canada and in the States and the West where if a politician was a fuck around, he would be guarded in our town. That's just the way it was. You know, and we need to get back to that day. We need to get back to the day where fucking Ed can run for fucking prime minister. And when he's finished his term, if he did a good job, he gets reelected once. And after he's done that, doesn't matter how good of a job, he's fucking gone. He's gone back to his life in Markham, Ontario, to deal with the consequences of the policies he put in place. So his life could turn out shit if he made shit decisions. And not just that, he returns to the very people that he fucking lorded over, who are saying, Ed, you fucking cocksucker, why did you do that? And there's no protection. There's no 24-hour for life fucking extra policing. You're not awarded 7 figures for life for fucking up. You're held accountable. You know, it takes away the incentive to fuck around, to make bad decisions, to sell out your country for corporate sponsorship, global sponsorship. You know,
Well, that's why these people that are getting elected. They have the money. Money is power, and they're in
It's
a
not-
clique.
no,
They're
it's
in
not
a
even that.
clique with a bunch of people that also have money and control, and you know that clique of people support each other, and that's how they get elected. They're
It's not even-
supported financially, and you know.
No, not really. That's not even that. These people already go in with money. That much we agree on.
Yeah,
Trudeau has his fortune from the Trudeau clan, from his grandfather who built it on oil and gas in Canada.
yeah,
Petro Canada is Trudeau.
yeah.
Trudeau doesn't care about the health of the globe. He's not shutting down oil industry in Canada because of the carbon pollution. He's shutting it down because it's competition. He doesn't want domestic competition for his finances.
Mhm.
He's
Yeah.
already got agreements on the global stage to get that oil and gas. It's only Canadian gas that we don't want. Okay. Now, it's not the money they're getting now even. It's what do I do when I'm done sitting in this prime minister's chair? In this case, Trudeau wants the seat on the UN.
That's right.
He's
That's absolutely right.
getting his family padded for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
It's not what he's getting now. It's not that, you know, people say, oh, well, Trudeau's a dummy. No, he's not. He knows that it doesn't matter what he does or say. He's got that spot later on. And when you look at politicians and you follow their careers and you follow their exit from politics, especially under shit situations, where do they wind up? Leaders of corporations that are doing the things that we're just discussing now.
Yeah,
Causing-
they get these nice padded salaries. They sit on the board
Life.
of big companies.
On top of the padded salaries that the taxpayer gives them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
like
They're
fucking
princes for life. Yeah.
So there was
You
those Chinese billionaires gave millions of dollars to the Trudeau Foundation. Was it 2 years ago? And just a couple months ago, Peter Poilievre was walking into a meeting, and they're going to be questioning why we're spending $350 billion on building some kind of infrastructure in China, and the dollar amount went up to something like it's just under $500 million.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the
went in a
root
circle.
core. That's the root core issues that we should be focused on, not this extra, you know, external shit that we keep doing on social media. And we wonder why shit doesn't change. Like I was saying a little while ago, you're banging your head in the fucking door because the people are still distracted by all the fucking diversionary tactics because it works. You think these fucking people got into this position by happenstance? This has been an ongoing, refined system for thousands of years, going back to what Ed was saying about the Queen and the royal family.
Mhm.
Nothing's changed. There's still kings and queens.
If I can interrupt for a second, I'll tell you what. I'll give you guys a second to sort of slow down, catch your breath. I want to play a little video here. I'm going to dip my camera out, pop in my Facebook page, and I want to play a short little video. Gary, you mentioned dictatorship. You mentioned how our government doesn't pay attention to the people. I want you to watch this little video here, and when it's done, I'll be back, and we can talk about what this video has to say about Canada.
Will the video pop up on the screen, I guess?
No, but they're going to hear everything we're saying. So if you can just let it run
Okay.
and not say anything, go grab a drink or
That
something.
works.
Real quiet for a minute. Oh, we will see it, but the
Hi,
sound's
everybody.
playing. We won't hear it.
What you're about to see are some clips from a video produced by Rocco Galati, noted Canadian constitutional lawyer. Listen to what this man has to say about Canada being a dictatorship.
Now, subject to questions, that's all I want to talk about the Bank of Canada, but my gracious hosts here have asked me to briefly talk about some of my other cases and how they're separate or how do they fit in with the Bank of Canada case. So unless I'm boring you, I'll take 5 to 7 minutes and I can just briefly talk about the bigger picture, if it's okay with you. All right, so Machiavelli once said that, you know, the people are most enslaved when they declare themselves to be free, right? That's certainly true here in North America. Ever since we got our Constitution patrioted, although there was Quebec got screwed in the back rooms, people have declared themselves to be free through a Constitution, and people just, you know, they've let down their vigilance, and people think they're free here, and it's a delusion. It's a complete delusion. Canada, or places like some of the Nordic countries, were the most peaceful countries in the world, but they're dictatorial. I've been talking about a quiet dictatorship since the Cretin government. For me, it came down with a thump in April 2001 in Quebec City at the Summit of the Americas. That was the statement. You fuck off, you live in a dictatorship. Go home or we'll tear gas you. Okay? Yep. That was it. I defended the First Nations at Gufferson Lake. I don't know, who remembers Gufferson Lake? Very few. Lloyd Axworthy and Princess Diana of Wales were touring the world trying to convince the world that we should ban landmines, military landmines. First Nations in northern BC occupied a piece of land they said was stolen from them. The Canadian Army surrounded them and laced the perimeter with the landmines Princess Diana and Lloyd Axworthy were trying to ban over Europe at the same frigging time, right? So the dictatorship, and that was all illegal action under the Constitution. Under our Constitution, you cannot dispatch military personnel against our civilian population. They did the same thing at Oka. That was illegal, completely illegal, contrary to the Constitution, okay? So that was the beginnings of our in-your-face dictatorship. It's all governments, all, you know, we have political parties that just have different football jersey colors, you know? I mean, there's not much of a spectrum, right? We got you know, so we got orange, we got red, and we have le bleu, not to be confused with Québécois bleu, but, you know, we got the conservatives, so that's it. So it doesn't matter to me which government it is. If they act unconstitutionally, they have to be made to account.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. Do yourself a favor. Hit YouTube, search for Rocco Galati. It's worth watching. Hope to see you on. Bye.
Well, we're not only living in a dictatorship, but we're living under a government that really doesn't exist, you know?
Well, it was never actually ratified, and that's the thing. We've just taken it for granted because that's what we were told. And, you know, these are the problems that we face today. The incident in BC, the incident in Oka, nobody actually stood up
No.
And that's how they use precedents to continue doing the things they do. And it's only gotten worse since then. And it's only going to get worse. You know, and they managed to do so, and they capitalize. See, these people like the Kathleen Wynns, the Justin Trudeau's, all these people that we're complaining about. Why are you mad? The motherfucker's doing what he's supposed to do for his interests. He's capitalizing off of our ignorance. And nobody wants to look at the fact that we dropped the ball. Because if we didn't drop the ball, we would have grabbed our fucking pitchforks and fucking put an end to it. And we'd make it so it would not be repeated. But we don't, because, you know, going to a rally, not that I have a big belief in rallies. They never in the history of Canadian history have they ever done a fucking thing. But going to a rally's, well, it's too difficult. I got my hair to do. I got my nails to do. I got work to do. It's too far. Canadians are lackadaisical. And I get a lot of flack for saying this and being blunt like this. The problem is, I don't give a fuck. I ain't trying to be your friend. I'm trying to fix Canada. And the reality is we need to take a real hard introspective look at ourselves. We say we're a patriot. Calling yourself a patriot does not make you a patriot. That's not the makings of what a patriot is. Leading by example is patriotic. Setting that example is patriotic. Demanding accountability is patriotic. Being on the fucking ball is patriotic. But calling yourself a patriot is not enough. And it seems that every time we get a direction that might actually work, the best outcome we get is a few likes on Facebook. I can count on my hands how many actual, within the last, say, 2 years, events that have been organized in Toronto, in Ottawa, in Calgary, in Vancouver, all over the fucking country, and just as many people showed up, a handful. You know, I'll tell you, if 100,000 motherfuckers walk down to Ottawa with their cell phones on, streaming it live, and walked in and said, guess what? You're fucking done.
You're fired.
They don't have enough police and military in the country, never mind Ottawa, to put an end to that. They just don't. But do you actually think we'd actually get enough people to do that?
No.
Oh, well, I got a job. I got to feed my kids. I don't want to risk my job. I don't want to go to jail.
Apathy and every excuse under the sun. Yep, you're right.
The only real global protest I've seen was in Poland. 1 million motherfuckers who walked up to their parliament and said, guess what? We don't care if you agree with the UN and agree to their terms on migration. We don't. So you can bring them here, but we're not giving up our houses. We're not giving them our money or our food. We're not giving them our jobs. And if they cause a ruckus while they're here, we're going to beat their fucking ass. And the politicians said, well, shit, I guess that's not going to work. So they told the UN no. The UN bickered back and forth. They're fighting and they're going to sue each other, this, that, and the next thing. But the people remained strong. Even the people that didn't even like each other said, I'm sorry, but that's just not acceptable. And if you think that you're going to push this idea against our wishes, guess what? We're not going to stop at the door this time. If we did that in Canada, it's going to have the same effect. That's just the way it works. But you'll never get 1 million people to do that. It's a shame. It's a damn shame.
If I can interrupt here, June 3rd, there must have been 400 to 500 Quebecers and maybe 50 or 60 guys from, people from Ontario.
One of the biggest events in the history of this mess we're in currently. And you're only talking 600-700 people.
That came out, and it was an hour from good hour on a nice Sunday afternoon. June 3rd, it was beautiful weather. People were busy, and we had it was a pretty good crowd.
It was a great turnout for what it was. Could have been 60,000, 600,000. It should have been.
It should have been, but if you look at how mainstream media is manipulating everyone, and you figure how many lives went out.
Right back to Synthesis Social and the whole concept of how this came about. Synthesis Social is a media distribution outlet. We're not leftists. We're not rightists. We're not centralists. We're not political. We are, on an individual basis, all have our personal leanings. But it's an open forum for Canadians. The mainstream media took away our voice. So when they do that, you have to create your own voice. So this is part of why so much integration was put in there, like YouTube, into it. Now, it's going to have a voice to whoever wants to fucking listen, regardless of what other, whether CP24 or, CBC or whoever tries to not give them coverage. Well, guess what? This is where the Synthesis Canada comes in, the front door, the living room. When you get so many people that do participate eventually and come in, it's going to cause waves. Hypothetically, say we got just all the people from Dan's group, from Ed's groups, from Duke's groups, from my groups, and for all the other people that are involved, and brought them together. You're talking hundreds of thousands of Canadians. Imagine if each one of those Canadians went outside at 12 noon on Sunday afternoon and said, I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. What do you think? What do you think the outcome of that would be? I mean, initially, probably nothing. People would be like, what the, But the fact that it's reported, somebody's going to pick up on it and say, like all over the country, coast to coast. And then we'll repeat that next week. You make a silent protest into a covered protest and let the mainstream media get nosy.
I don't think the mainstream media is going to cover it because we know they're paid off.
Well, the thing is, they won't need to because we'll have our own coverage. That's the part about it. And even though they're paid off, they're still news people. They'll just try to put a slant on it. That's the only difference.
Yeah. What happens?
Duke,
Yeah, they'll say, look at all the racists out there that are pissed off today.
Which one of you are sitting at a computer right now?
I'm on the phone.
I can turn one on. I'm on an iPad.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, mainstream would say, look, at noon today, a bunch of racists all went outside and said they were pissed off.
They could try, but the thing is...
What if a bunch of Canadians decided they just didn't want to go back to work after Labor Day weekend and turned Tuesday into Labor Day Part 2? What if Canadians decided to be like Lech Walesa from Poland and just have a workers' revolt by simply not going back to being a slave?
That's the whole point of Synthesis Canada. There's so many options and so many ideas that can come out, and you bombard them with all of them at the same time. You do what they do to us and overwhelm them with ideas, overwhelm them with action. The trick is changing it from ideas to action. So have you got your computer booted up?
Yeah, I'm up just opening Firefox. What do you need?
I want you to find the definition, the dictionary book definition of synthesis. Now, how many of you people have seen the logo for synthesis, just out of curiosity?
No, I haven't. I got
Okay.
it.
Okay, the definition of synthesis. 1A, the composition or combination of parts or elements so as to form a whole.
That's right. That's all you need right there.
The production of a substance by the union of a chemical elements group or similar compounds by the degradation of a complex compound. I like the first one.
Now we lost Gary.
Composition or combination of parts or elements as to form a whole.
That's right. So the very name was designed to help combat the accusations of racism. It's pretty hard when your name screams inclusion to say exclusion. Okay, and that's by design. And they can say whatever they want, but when everything's built off of the concept of Canadian inclusion, based off of equality, they have absolutely no defense. And this saves us from having to defend against the accusations and instead focus on content. Focus on the actual problems.
These libtards have made up their mind. There's no talking to them. Like I've tried to have an intelligent debate with some of these people. And once they lose ammunition, once they don't have an argument anymore, that's when they just back away and start calling you names. It's easy to do. It's defensive.
There's the key, though. You don't take away somebody's right to choose. You don't take away somebody's right to speak. You don't take away and add censorship into the game. You do allow them to exclude themselves. And that's the key. And we don't do that, do we? Be honest for a second. We don't do that, do we? Currently, they attack us, we attack back. And that's absolutely the wrong.
When they start just calling you names and when it's turned into it's not an argument no more, I've stopped. Like I just walk away from them, but I haven't changed their minds. That's the problem. Is their mind is still set the way it was before I started making my plea or my debate known. I give them my side of the story, and they don't like my side of the story, but they refuse to. So they call you names, and you've made no ground, because even though you were the one that made sense, and maybe a third person might have said, well, that guy was making sense, the person you were debating just doesn't want to hear it. They close their ears off and they call you names, and you haven't changed their mind, and they're still going to vote for Trudeau.
Ed, I will bring you right back in. I just want to interrupt here, guys. Want to introduce Barry Prince to everybody. I sort of snuck him in there when you guys were busy talking. Barry, welcome to the show. I'm going to step back out of the broadcast. I'm here in the background playing technician. I'm going to bring Ed back in here, and the four of you guys feel free to carry on your conversation. That's what my shows. This is what my shows are all about. What they're supposed to be about. Not me just rapping and ranting and raving. It's about Canadians coming together and proving to other Canadians that we can work together and find answers to the problems that we all recognize. Gentlemen, please carry on. And Ed, you're coming back in here, buddy.
Let me recap what Duke and I were talking about. And it's something that I spoke with somebody else, Dan, Stephen Myatt.
Yeah,
Stephen Alexander.
Yep.
A couple years ago.
Met him many times.
Yep. And something I told him a long time ago, and he's starting to actually understand now a little bit better. Something I'm going to say to you that I also said to Duke earlier today. And this gets back to what we had said in the conversation earlier when Ed was discussing things with us. This click-based mentality doesn't work because you only reach a set amount of people. Stop trying to save the fucking world. Stop trying to save Canada. Save two people. If Dan Dubois goes out and does his job and gets two people, that's it. Just two people. And gets them to see common ground. Whether they agree with you before or whether they're new people, whatever. And then Dan challenged those two people to go out and get two people. People are more likely to agree with you if they know you. If there's that common bond there. I could say the same message, Dan could say the same message, and Ed could have the same message, but Ed's friends are going to listen to Ed before they listen to me.
Hang on. I got to interrupt here. You guys are always talking about message. I'm all about asking questions. If you want to bring someone over to your side, you got to get them to think like you are, or get them to just to think about the possibility of something being different.
But they're more likely to connect.
But hang on, you go out and you make these statements and you add a debate and you're making your claims. If you really want to bring someone over, ask them some questions to get them to think, to bring you to the answer you want them to come to. Because just when you say this room is blue, they immediately say, "Oh, you're an asshole. Fuck off." We know it's mauve. Maybe they're colorblind, right? But if you ask them, "What color do you think that wall is?" Now they gotta actually look at the wall and say, "Oh, fuck, it is blue," and it is blue.
Well, they're more likely to do that if you already know them, if there's some tie to you on a personal level. Okay, like I said, we can have the same message, and we can express the same message in our own words, and they're more likely to, if they hear it from you, cater to you than say Dan or myself, because they've already heard about Dan, they've already heard about me. You know what I mean? They've already got a preconceived notion of what we're about, but they connect.
But like-minded people naturally get together. That's how we got this group. We're at 3,300 members. Just to let you know, Gary, Ed Jamnasik is C3 captain in Toronto. Duke Willis is C3 captain in St. Catharines. And Barry Prince, that he was just going to bring in, is C3 vice president of British Columbia. So C3 is in the house, and we're growing, brother, and we're spreading that message.
I've watched the growth, and what I'm saying is, you're doing exactly what I just said is the method to do it. You're reaching out to people, connecting on a personal level, and that growth, it's inevitable. It's not something I created. I didn't make this up and pull it out of my ass. It's the natural law of progression. And if we do perspective, we have a solid core group of people that can make that difference. Okay. The problem is we have to get by all the idiocy. We have to get by all the fucking, silliness and all the personalities to get to the meat and potato. Once we do that, then we'll see a change. And all those people that were antagonistically standing against the position get back to what Ed was just saying, and they start to say, well, that wall is blue. Because they overcome that us versus them mentality. And it's the us versus them mentality that's being sold and marketed, not just by the politicians and the corporations, but by every last aspect in our lives. So you need to have a platform that's open and inviting, and right from the base, it's designed to overcome those things. So that way, if somebody excludes themselves, well, that's your choice. That's your right to choose. You have to have that freedom of choice. If you don't have that, when I take away your right to speak, when I take away your freedom of choice, we're now enemies. We're now always going to be at odds.
Yep.
I don't know. Here's an analogy I used with Duke earlier on. Do you like broccoli, Dan?
Oh, yeah.
You look like a broccoli guy. I fucking despise broccoli.
I love this stuff. Don't add cheese, but
I think broccoli should be abolished from the planet, and every person that likes it should be abolished with them.
Dill pickles, man.
I don't understand why you like broccoli. But here's the difference. I can accept that you like broccoli.
Yeah.
And you now know my stance on broccoli. So you know if you come over to my house for dinner, I'm probably not going to serve broccoli.
Yeah.
And I'm probably not going to want to go to your house to eat because you're probably going to have broccoli.
But I wouldn't force you to eat it.
But now, well, see, there's the thing. There's where choice comes in. Now we can make a choice to move on to bigger and better things, or we can choose to walk away.
Yeah.
And if we're decent, civil people, we're going to choose to move on to bigger and better things. But now we know each other's stance. We don't have to agree with each other on it.
No,
I don't have, you're not forcing me to eat it, and I'm not forcing you to stop eating. In my opinion, freedom of choice, being free, means that you have the right to choose. You have the right to choose correctly. You have the right to choose incorrectly. You have the right to agree and to disagree. You have the right to fucking go nail your fucking cock to a table. I don't care. That's your right to choose. I think it's an idiotic choose, but it's your right to choose.
Is that
it's my decision. Well, I gotta throw in a caveat there. I just was talking with somebody about this incident of the guy in the UK that neutered himself.
So now we got genders. Great.
it was awesome. Personally, I'm happy for the guy. He had the courage of his conviction. I want him to do that and push that and promote the shit out of it, so all those other cuck beta motherfuckers do the same thing, and they don't have to wait for breeding. Problem solved. In one generation, in one fell swoop, they just did themselves in. I'm good with that. That's just personal opinion. So I'll move back to
third and fourth wave feminism has done it to this country. Look at the rates of 1.9%.
That's why I want to bring this kid over. I want to bring this kid over so we can do speeches and talk to these liberals over here. Maybe some will actually follow suit. But nonetheless, the point is, it comes back to freedom of choice. And if you don't provide that and make that a staple again, to get people to see, I don't have to like broccoli. That's okay.
Yeah.
We can still respect each other as Canadians, as civil people, and now get back to the problem at hand and find solutions. One of my biggest pet peeves, as I expressed with some others, Duke included, is that we don't talk about solutions. We talk about the problem. We continue to talk about the problem. How many times have you been on Facebook today and saw the same post about the same problem? This is bad. Trudeau's a traitor. And like, it's repeated everywhere. Motherfucker, I know that. You know, dude.
Solution. That's been my criticism about Scheer. Is if you watch what Scheer has to say and Rempel, all they do is bash the Liberals. But I've yet to hear one solution. It's all about the Liberals did this, they did that. Well, what would you have done differently? And what are your solutions to solve these problems that the Liberals have created? I've heard none. And that's why I'm disgusted in Howdy Doody.
But that's what we do, and that's the problem. These are the problems. We regurgitate the problems. We don't focus on solutions. We're not a solution-based society. Individuals.
Duke has the solution. Keep saying, buy a gun, teach your family how to use it, and bury it.
Yeah.
Done that already.
I hope we never have to go there. I hope we never have to go there.
I have to agree with Dan on this. I see a lot of people that do call for those kinds of things, and it's always the people that, you know, I don't know how many times I've seen somebody post, why hasn't somebody fucking shot that Trudeau yet? Yeah. Motherfucker, you're on Facebook saying, why hasn't somebody shot it? Why don't you go fucking do it? You've got the courage of your conviction. You know, if you're so adamant about it, go do it. Don't expect somebody else to do it because you lack the courage. Everybody talks about violence like it's an easy thing.
Well, I won't make comment on that one, boy. But I'm surprised that somebody hasn't taken a shot at him yet.
That may be, on a personal level, I might be surprised as well. I'm actually not.
I'm very surprised.
But the point is, why try to incite it when you're not?
Well, myself, you know, Gary and Dan, I believe that if we go to a violent confrontation with the government, we're going to lose.
Absolutely,
100%. You know, they are pushing us. They're pushing us into a situation where our back's up against the wall. And now you have people in Canada talk about armed confrontation. If you listen to people talking in Europe right now, and I've talked to quite a few people in Germany, and they're at a point right now, they're at a breaking point. Well, that's what's coming to Canada in the very near future if we don't stop what's going on. They're literally at a state right now of civil war in Germany. Their women cannot walk the streets at night.
Anybody that hears my position knows my stance. They know that I 100 absolutely % believe that the end result of the direction we're heading in Western society is violence on a mass scale. Not just in Canada, not just in America. This is historically proven. We're actually 300-400 years overdue. But as much as that's true, that isn't the only option if we're willing to put forth the effort to change it. And I believe 100% that if we do what's needed, we can overcome that change, at least on a Canadian front. Trust me, most of the motherfuckers calling for violence, especially in Canada, have never tasted violence, and they sure as fuck don't want to.
I have no idea what it's all about.
I hear a lot
of them will call for it or college. You know, it's
let me tell you something.
Easy to punch it in.
I got back a couple years ago from Kurdistan. I went over and stood with the Peshmerga and a few of the other groups over there in regards to the initial Daesh push. I was in Tikrit.
Dying.
And those kinds of things don't go away in your mind.
Keep going.
That's the kind of thing that a lot of these guys take for granted, and they think that it's just going to be a fun time. It's romantic. And it's absolutely fucking not. Okay? And it's because of that. One second. It's because of that I don't want to see it come to Canada. Okay? Because I know what the end result is. I know what the devastation is, and I know that there's not enough people that are prepared for the outcome to actually deal with the mess. And if we try to address it by taking on the government, that's a losing proposition. They've got unlimited ban, they've got unlimited funding, they've got unlimited weapons, they've got unlimited tools, and they've got the media on their side to demonize anybody that stands up. So that's just not an option. You have to take on the core system, not the personalities, not the, parties individually. You have to take on the system itself, and you have to do it from a Canadian perspective. And you've got to do it peacefully. That's just the only way. And it's possible. We've seen it. We've seen it happen. We've seen the results in different countries. It's possible.
Yeah, we still have a small window of opportunity in Canada to do that.
We do.
But
we do.
Phone had died
very, very quickly. So
well, and that's why we've been pushing so hard to get this site going, because we want that alternative.
Everybody's frozen, or is it just me?
Well, yeah, and I think timing for this site right now, everything I've heard so far and what I've seen so far, I think timing for your site is perfect. Because we are looking for an alternative.
Well, if I can add, the Yugoslavian war in the early 90s.
Everybody's frozen.
The largest
Okay, I'm leaving the broadcast. I'll just watch.
The largest.
Have a good evening, gentlemen.
Oh, is that Dan leaving?
Yeah, Dan says he's frozen. Anyways, in 1990, in Yugoslavia, the country started to break up.
The Balkans, yep.
The Balkans, largest movement since troops since the Second World War. Between Slovenia and Croatia, I think only 4 or 5 guys died. They held the front lines. There was just 2 passes of the mountains. And they were at odds for about a week and a half. Negotiated to get the arms out. And that was it. It was done. And then Croatia fired up. It was Croatia versus Serbia, and then it expanded into Bosnia, Montenegro, and Macedonia.
And some of the tragedies that happened on the civilian side was actually far more worse than on the military sides. And again, that was directed too for a purpose. I mean, the thing is, if you ask somebody that lived through that on either side, the complete and utter horror of what life was like for the average Joe civilian, it broke people. And we're not immune to it over here. It will happen over here if we don't take care, and the outcome will be the same.
Yep.
Now,
I agree.
Part of this was driven by nationalism, because there's about 5 major ethnic kind of regions in that country, and under Marshal Tito, you had people that would join the military. It was mandatory in the communist/socialist system that was there. So you had people coming from the south, serving their year mandatory military service in the north, people going from the north, going to the south, and it was diversity that brought them to this civil war.
I think it was actually diversity that brought them to the Civil War by being directed and pushed. There was a pipeline that was supposed to be built, that was supposed to go through there, and it was actually backed by the Americans, and it was agreed upon. But you see, this is when America was still friends with bin Laden, okay? And he instigated the revolt of sorts to upset the deal on behalf of the Americans, when the president at the time in Yugoslavia was pulling out. He was getting screwed over, and he said, you know what, we're not going to participate. Well, they'd already spent money on building this pipeline and getting it all laid out. So when he pulled out, they had to destabilize him. Well, they know they couldn't get rid of a duly elected, democratically elected president, so they had to stir up trouble. So they used the ethnic minorities to do so. And then he's seen what the results were. And it was effective. I mean, they've been doing this for, this is again, historically been used anytime they want to do something they can't do.
You're awful quiet, Barry.
Well, you know, I've been on the air for 4 hours a day, Duke, so I'm just kind of sitting here listening to what's being said. I'm not full of energy right now. It's been a long day.
If we don't pay attention, we'll bring it here. It will happen here. And that's the
Europe is just a few years ahead of us, guys. What we're seeing over there right now is exactly what's going to happen in our country if we don't stop it.
We most definitely are tasting it now. Not as bad
we're
as
starting to see it. We're starting to see it. I mean,
it's going to get worse.
Maria Shen was murdered in Vancouver. There was 2 people murdered on the Danforth. These people were directly tied to immigrants coming into our country. The van attack in Toronto, again, tied directly to immigrants. The bombs that are going off in Edmonton, the attacks in Edmonton, the attacks in our schools. We're not hearing about the attacks in our schools because that's been completely covered up. I've been following that very closely. Everywhere we see the effects of this culture coming into our society. And I'll tell you, it is not conducive to Western civilization in any shape or form.
It never has.
We're going to see, well, it never was. It's not designed to be, man. Islam is, if you look at the history of Islam and tie it in with the Jesuits, then tie it into the Catholic Church and follow that trail, you'll understand where we are with Islam right now, how it's being used as a tool, and where we're going in the future. There's no coexisting with Islam. It just is not in their doctrine in any shape or form.
There's a lot of people that believe that Islam was created with the help of the Catholic Church to destabilize Christianity during that time. And there's a lot of actual facts to back that concept up. And in fact, you can go to many Islamic-dominated countries where Islam is the thing, and you'll see the only churches that exist there are the mosques, and right across the street, the Catholic diocese. Christian church is done. Everything. But aside from that, the whole thing with Islam is that they declared war on humanity a long time ago. We have never seen them lift that declaration. Okay. Now people say, "Oh, the Crusades, Christian, blah, they killed." Yeah, they did some fucked up things, you know. However, Christianity went through Reformation, and they said that was kind of not cool. We gotta kind of stop that kind of horseshit, and they did. But Islam never did, and Islam has always been defeated, always. So
just barely,
and it will happen again, but it will come to a head, turn into violence en masse, where you're going to see the average Joe that will sign up, just like all throughout history, and do some dastardly deeds that they never thought possible, because it'll come down to literally life or death.
Yeah, Duke's made that statement many times that Islam will not leave without a fight. And I agree with that statement. They're not going to leave without a fight. When jihad is called, I've studied the Quran quite a bit. I understand what caliphate is. I understand what taqiyya is. I understand a lot about their doctrine. And they're not going to leave here without a fight. They're embedded into our society now. The roots are very deep. We don't see a lot of the roots, but the roots are very deep. And we got a struggle on our hands in the future here.
Well, going back to the Balkans, Bosnia was taken over by actually most of southern Yugoslavia was ruled by the Turks, which is where Islam got a foothold in the Balkans.
Mm-hmm. They were only stopped at the gates of Vienna.
Yeah, and if you look at a lot of those borders, they're drawn over religious lines. You got Serbs that are Orthodox Christians.
Yep.
Bosnians that are usually mostly Muslims.
Yeah.
Croatia's kind of funny. You got both religions, but it's mostly Christian, like Catholics and Orthodox. Slovenia is predominantly Catholic.
Hardcore Catholic.
Slovenia, no, actually, the church is modern day in Slovenia. The church is hurting pretty bad.
Really?
Way down, yeah.
Is this a recent thing, or because they've always been very traditionally hardcore Catholic?
I'd say over the last 15 years, the numbers are way down.
That's a shame.
Well, gentlemen, I hate to tell you this, but it's 10 to 11, and we've been almost 2 hours here on the air tonight. I want to thank all three of you for joining me tonight. This has been absolutely an amazing conversation. If we include Dan Dubois, it's been a great night for me. I've been able to sit back and play engineer, and you guys have carried the show. Gary, I think you've probably brought perspectives and ideas to our show and our discussion that we may have had before, but you've brought them to us in a new format, a new way of looking at the different facets of the diamond that is this country we call Canada and the mess that it's in right now. Gary, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show rather impromptu without any planning in advance. I am going to go out of my way to promote your Synthesis Social Network System, your .com page. I feel privileged that you've allowed me to be part of the initial 50 members to sort of break ground for this new web page, and I am going to do my best to promote the hell out of it.
Can I steal 3 or 4 minutes just before we shut down? We kind of got off on
as long as you give it back.
All right, well, I'm going to try to that. Because we kind of went off on a tangent, and I think Ed had a couple questions. And now that Barry's here, Barry,
we have had a little technical difficulty here tonight.
Well, I just want to close it with any questions that you guys might have based off of what you know so far and what you don't know.
If I can start, I was reading your policy there on your Facebook groups page. You got to be center right, and you can't deviate from that, or you get kicked off.
Absolutely not.
There was something in there about that.
I'll have to go and look at that. If you can cut and paste it to me and let me know, because I don't believe that's what it states.
It was something about that right in your policies.
I'm actually pulling it up now, so let me check. That's mind you that it is an independent thing on Facebook versus the Synthesis Social site. But I'm going to go look at the rules list on Facebook.
Because what we've discussed tonight is farther to the right than center right.
Our overall policy is.
You think?
Our overall, just to clarify, our overall policy as a group is this: one will never be censored or removed for their opinion or their choice of direction on their political leanings. I don't care if you're a liberal or an NDP or a conservative. I don't care. It's actually not my business to know how you vote. Okay. However, if you are liberal, hypothetically, you are going to run into conservatives. So if you engage with those people on the group and on the page and you act like an asshole, you're going to have asshole mentality back, as it typically is. Hopefully that can be avoided, but that's not usually how it is. So if you cross the line and start getting into issues of like threats of violence and things of that nature, you absolutely will be removed. Anything criminality will be zero tolerated. Okay, and a lot of it's just common sense.
Of course.
But the direction or choice, I don't think that's what it states, or if it does, in which way. I'd have, like I said, I'm scrolling through it now, and I don't see it as stating centralist or whatever. I think if it says something like that, maybe what you're saying is the policy of the group. Perhaps we're not left or right. The group is just a position of content distribution. It's not. We're not political. You know what I mean? In our direction, you're political, and the choice you make is your choice. I'm not responsible for what you say or what you do, or for the choices you make. So, I hope that clarifies it.
Perfect. Thank you.
In regards to
the opinions of this network aren't necessarily those of the contributors. Thank you.
Absolutely. In fact, on the website, it actually states It
Well, of
literally
course.
states.
Say you're a neutral platform. All you're doing is bringing multiple ideas, concepts, and thoughts forward so
Yeah.
people can look at it and rationalize for themselves, but you're providing all angles. It's like what we do in this business when we're doing people on radio, man. There's a lot of times I'll get somebody on the radio whose opinion I don't agree with, but my job is to bring those people forward and let people hear that opinion so they can make their own decisions.
Right.
Yeah, Barry keeps making the mistake of having me on his radio shows, and I am the epitome of the devil's advocate. The entire show could be pro-choice, and I would be the one standing up saying, wait a minute. That's my job in life, to be the resident asshole.
Huh?
Did you manage to get on the site?
Myself?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been to the site. I've been to your page.
So
I don't think I've been on the site. And since we talked this morning, I haven't really done too much because I've been busy all day. But we talked about having a conversation, and I'd like to do that tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. I was hoping to get an impression of what you saw when you first logged in.
No, I can't say not at this point. I'm going to have a real good look at what you're doing here in the next couple of weeks. Like, I like everything that you said here today. I like everything about the way you set it up. You touched on some of the background, and I like the people that are getting behind it, that it's independent, not going to be able to be influenced by corporations. And a lot about what you're talking about, I really like. So let's go forward with this.
Yeah, I think it's the only way.
Thanks for posting my show up there today.
No worries. Ed, did you have any other questions? Because, like I said, I knew you had a couple. I didn't know if.
Well, no. My biggest concern was, will this get taken down like Gab did? And
I think Ed's still here. Ed.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Earth to Ed.
And the other thing was, I was kind of alarmed. I says Duke was talking about it like it was a new.
We lost Ed.
Was a new profile or a new.
No, he's still there, Barry.
Something that was completely new, but. I opened it and it says, this looks like a Facebook groups page inside of Facebook. So I called Duke and said, what might be going on here? And then he clarified it. Says, no, this is just for now. Wait till January 1st or 2nd. It'll be up and running.
Ed, what I pointed out to you actually was that you were looking at the Synthesis Canada Facebook page, which is like an advertising, a promotional page for the .com website, okay? The .com website is doing a beta rollout December 1st.
Yes.
The public will be able to view, not comment or become members or anything, but they'll be able to view and sort of surf through the site in December, and then it opens up to the public in January. Am I correct there, Gary?
Incorrect. December 1st will be the beta rollout. There'll be 50 members and 5 content creators. And we're going to cap it at that just for the month of December to test and try to break the system. We're going to randomly assign different levels of access to all those 50 members and those 5 content creators to test the system and use all the features and functions to do everything from live stream to podcast to upload pictures, to use the site like they would Facebook. So they won't be limited in what they can do on the beta. And by the end of the beta, we'll have all the feedback we require to know if there's improvements that we should do last minute before release to the public, so we have the best platform we can have come January 1st. January 1st, the New Year's Day, we're going to open the floodgates and allow the people to come in. And there's lots of people that have tried to get in now that we've turned away. You know, I expect that there's going to be quite a few people, especially when people are sharing it with others, to let them know that it's going to happen, that it's coming. It's there now, and it works now. And we're just kind of buffing it and polishing it and getting all the last little details done.
You better keep me
Sounds
out
like
of
me something pretty cool to get involved in, guys. That's what it sounds like to me.
You better keep me out, because I learned assembly language in high school and I broke the IBM mainframe at U of T for 2.5 weeks.
Well, that's awesome. I'm sure there'll be people trying.
I was waiting for somebody else to talk, man. If you want me to start talking, I'll start talking.
I'm sure there'll be more than enough.
Guys, it's late. I would love to keep this show going, but we really got to wrap things up.
Okay, I just
We
wanted to.
really do.
Okay, dude.
So,
Well, I'm
It's
sorry,
your
but
show.
no.
yeah, it's
Thank you.
11 o'clock here. We've had 2 hours of yakking in people's ears. Barry's done about 6 hours worth of broadcasting today between his online radio show and several different video broadcasts, including this one. I think it's time. Enough is enough. Eventually, you've got to end one show so you can start another. And we're at that time. It's time to say goodnight, guys.
I appreciate.
So, Ed, I'm going to say goodnight to you again. Thank you, as always, for coming on the show. One of these days, Ed, I would like to get your mother. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but I've met Ed's mom, okay? And I would like to get his mother on here, or maybe drive up to her place one day and sit down with the woman and let her tell Canadians what life was like in Europe 30 years ago, 40 years ago, okay? Before the Berlin Wall came down and communism and socialism in its extreme controlled everyday life in all parts of Europe, even the non-communist countries. They still felt the effects of it. And I think Ed's mom, in the short conversations that I had with her in the one day I met her, I think she could help a lot of Canadians sort of get a first-hand feel for what it's like even living in the shadow of that sort of social mentality. So, Ed, maybe that's something we could look toward doing in the new year with your mom. Maybe sit down some afternoon and have a cup of tea and let her talk.
You know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea, because a lot of people don't even know what it was like living through a Second World War.
Yep. Well, now see,
I think I don't hear Ed.
One week was the Italians marching into the
sorry,
village,
Barry.
the food. The next week it was
Anyways,
the Germans.
it's been a pleasure talking with you, Duke. Always.
Week after
Okay,
that,
Barry.
the partisans would come down and take all the
And
food.
Gary, nice meeting you today and having our chat.
Nice meeting you all.
Hang
Thanks
on
for
a
the
second, Ed. I'll be right back to you. Barry can't hear Ed, and I can't hear Gary. So we're having a few technical difficulties here with the system. Barry, thank you, brother. As always, it's been a slice having you here. Your input is more than appreciated. We will talk again very soon during the week, I'm sure.
Okay, I'll get out of here, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah, we definitely got to do this again, Gary. It's been a slice. Nice talking.
Absolutely. You know where to. You feel free to add me on Facebook if you like. If you have any questions or whatever. And why don't you consider coming on the beta team and checking it out personally, so you can see it for yourself.
I warned you. I learned assembly language. I broke the U of T mainframe computer for 2.5 weeks in 1979.
I have a lot of faith in my lead core programmers. All right, they're all about security. So if you can do it, I hope you can. If you do it, it'll piss them off enough to fix it. So, you know.
All right, yeah, I'll come on.
Either way, it was awesome talking to you. And again, you know where I am, so feel free. Thank you, Duke, for the invite. And I hope I kind of clarified some things for you guys. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more posts and seeing your interaction. You had one.
Ed can be the hired black hat.
Well, these guys are white hats, so I'm sure they'd love the challenge. You had a watcher, Eunice, and she actually addressed this before. And as I told her before, it's because the gates have been closed. It's not open, and that's why her password is not accepted, because she was never on that list. If she wants to be on that list, she needs to contact me and we can discuss it, but she won't be able to get in unless she's invited.
Quick question. Did you guys look at D Live?
Sort of.
And Steam it?
No, D Live, yeah.
They've got some kind of crazy bugs in there. Like if you go on an Apple iPad or iPhone, you cannot register because it capitalizes the first freaking word.
They're not fully optimized for phones and tablets yet. They're working on it. They'll get to it.
How are you guys doing in that front?
100% compatible with phones and tablets. and we're actually working on the apps for it. We're going to have independent apps for it as well. That's coming out, but we're getting the basics done first. But it's fully optimized for mobile.
And how about search engines? You're gonna have to pay off Google to get even listed, or?
I couldn't give a shit if Google lists us or not. We're not trying to put money in Google's pocket.
But if people want to find it, or if they Google the,
if they want to find us, where are they going to find us? They're going to find us in the groups we're already in. If you talk about it in your group, if Duke talks about it in his group, if I talk in my group, if everybody talks about it in their own groups, we'll get the members.
Yeah. No, it's just I worry about Big Brother shutting off the keys.
They can't. They would literally have to shut it down account by account. They couldn't do that. They don't have the manpower. And again, it's not a Canadian influenced server. There's no way they can get access to it. And again, the owners, being the very hardcore conservative that they are really not going to appease somebody saying, well, we don't like what you have to say. You know, they're not going to give a shit.
Okay, so there's no chance of bringing over people that are broadcasting in England that got a show that goes worldwide? There's no chance, even though they have a Canadian audience?
No. This is Canadian content for Canadians by Canadians, period. It is a niche market group.
And 6 months down the road, you guys are going to expand to go worldwide, or what?
No, we are duplicating the platform independently. We actually have Synthesis USA, Synthesis UK.
Oh, really? Same rollout dates?
Close.
Okay, I'm going to talk to Ray Bow about it.
Yeah, and Mike Phillip.
Yeah, because they do a show. Mike's in Calgary, Ray's in London, and they've got people in Australia, South Africa.
There's already a lot of platforms that are offering that. You know what I mean? Facebook alone, even though we have our issues with them, they cater to a global market. There's lots of alternatives that exist that cater to a global market. There's lots of radio and podcasting shows that cater to a global market. YouTube caters to a global market. We're not trying to replace or compete with them.
Yeah.
We're trying to create Canadian content for Canadians, the relevant ones, the ones that actually make the difference. You know, I honestly, I don't give a shit about somebody's opinion in Zimbabwe about our prime minister. I have absolutely no fucking care. You know, I want to hear what you think about it in fucking Markham or in Alberta or in Newfoundland. You know,
I'd love to get the opinion of someone that grew up in Lebanon that used to be the Paris of the Middle East, which is now a shithole.
Yeah, but if they're Canadian, they'd have that right to speak. They'd have the right to share that opinion.
Yeah.
If they're in Lebanon, I don't give a fuck. Why would I care about an external component that doesn't affect Canada?
History. Lebanon was predominantly Christian. It was the Paris of the Middle
That's
East.
up to the individual.
And it fell to Islam.
You need to do the work as an individual to compare history. And hopefully the content creators will do exactly that. I hope that you actually go on and become a content contributor to show the relevance of historical context to what's happening today in Canada and the lessons learned from it.
Guys,
we got to shut down.
Yeah.
Feel free to touch base.
We need to bring this to a close, gentlemen.
My bad. Enjoy your evening. Thank you. And we'll talk to you soon.
Your mic was breaking up there, Ed.
What's that?
Your mic was breaking up.
Come back next weekend, please.
Gary, I can't hear you. The only way I can hear Gary is because I have my second desktop, which is broadcasting to YouTube. I have the volume turned up on it just a little bit. So about 4 to 5 seconds after you say something on Facebook, I'm hearing it on the YouTube broadcast. It's been kind of difficult for me to follow the conversation. Gary, Ed,
and I'll say good night.
Folks watching right now, we've only got a couple of viewers left on right now. We're going to wrap this up. Gary, I would love to have you back on one of my shows next weekend, either Saturday night with Politically Speaking or again next Sunday on Canadian Patriot Report. I would love to have you on. And I'm planning on doing some live videos on Wednesday evenings on my YouTube channel, Canadian Truthers. And I think I'd like to have you on that channel. It's a YouTube channel. I focus mainly on my videos, Billy Joyce, and Amazing Polly. As the title implies, it's the Canadian Truthers channel. So let me see, we'll talk during the week, and maybe we'll start Wednesday or next Wednesday with a broadcast from that YouTube channel, and you can be my first guest. We'll talk during the week. Gary, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Good night, folks.
Good night, Duke.
Good night, Ed. Thank you, brother, for coming on. We'll talk again during the week, buddy. I got to get this desk built.
Thanks for having me. This was awesome.
All right, brother. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. There we go, folks. That's the end of our broadcast for tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for those who will be watching the show later on as a recording. I appreciate all of your time and attention, your comments, just the fact that you take the time out of your busy day to sit and listen to the various comments, opinions, and issues that we talk about here on my shows. The fact that you take the time to watch me tells me that what we're doing is worth continuing to do. It's worth the effort that I put into it to make these things happen. Folks, thanks again. Good night, and please keep Canada Canadian.
We've been sitting around the table, drinking Joe vodka. You know what? My lady wants me home, but when I sit down, I can't get up. You know what? Drink my coffee from a favorite cup. Good God. Sit down at Tim Hortons, I'll be sucking it up. I got to make that scene.